Hey everybody, I haven't done a video in a while and I don't want people to think like I only do videos when I want to go on a rant. Unfortunately, this one is because of that. And I want to apologize up front for the audio, kind of the background noise. The weather's getting really good here in the Sacramento area, and I live right across the street from a park with screaming kids and they're playing while their parents are on their cell phones. I got a dog over here that loves to hear the sound of his voice 24/7, and I'm 2 miles away from an airport where F-16s do touch and go and all that. So apologize for that up front, but hey, we'll get through this. In the article, there's a picture, a real one, of one of our units in a living space. I think there might be a couch or the kitchen you kind of see in the background. That is a real unit in this living space. And instead of the focal point being how cool it is, how this VPP is going to change the way utilities and solar installers and developers and builders work together forever, it didn't end up being like that. It was, oh, there's a freaking ESS inside a living space. So in the 2017 code cycle, they finally got ESS, its own article, 706, and like most of them that's brand new, they have to refine the wording as each code cycle comes, because the technology significantly is light years ahead of what the code can even keep up with, right? The issue of battery safety quickly came up, right? Well, in 2020, that's not allowed. You can only put them in, well, they can't go in livable spaces, right? And so garages, for now, are not considered a livable space. Right now, they wanted it to be, no, yeah, you can only put ESS outside, on the side of a house, not even in a garage. And then somebody with some foresight and some common sense said, hey man, there's like electric vehicles that are in garages that use the same kind of batteries that are in these stationary systems. What's the message we're trying to promote here? Oh yeah, we don't want to, make Elon mad. Okay, yeah, garages are cool, they're cool. But everywhere else, you can't put it anywhere else in the house. Okay, well, the bottom line of that whole article, regardless of your preference or regardless of what you think about battery safety, the local AHJ, the fire marshal, and the building code people decided that having that system in those living rooms, in the 600 units that are in that virtual power plant, was okay. That the risks were acceptable and that it was fine. Again, personal preference aside, and I've got dozens of pictures of these things in homes, living room, right next to the TV, right? And if that's where the homeowner wants it and it doesn't pose a risk and they're fine with it, then I don't see what the issue is, right? Well, it's safety. What if it catches on fire? Okay, so let's explore battery safety, right? And the things that scare us are not always the things that kill us or burn houses down, right? But we want to get all up in arms about battery safety because we saw the Galaxy Note 7s, and no, nothing against them. They just had a lot of notoriety. We had the hoverboards, which forever changed the way lithium-ion batteries can be transported on airplanes, right? There are pictures out there of various lithium-ion things catching on fire, and the general public doesn't care about lithium-ion chemistry, right? Now, you could make a case that lithium iron phosphate, or LFP, is safer than nickel manganese cobalt oxide, NMC, and you would be right. LFP is the predominant chemistry used in stationary storage. Tesla and LG Chem are the two mainstream ESS right now that use NMC batteries because the people that make those batteries also make them for cars. So it was a great economy of scale. And I'll call Sonnen out on this. We used to have this video, and I used to show it in my training classes, of the nail puncture test, right? The nail went into an LFP, and it kind of got on, it heated up, but it didn't catch on fire. We did the same thing for an NMC, and of course, the fireworks came. And I stopped showing that video because, oh, here come the jets, right? Sorry. So here comes the jets, and so anyway, everybody got all up in arms about that. And I know people, because of that video, that pitch only LFP batteries, whether it's Sonnet or not. Just about every other one out there uses LFP. And this guy was like, well, I'm only promoting LFP batteries instead of NMC because an NMC battery system is a freaking bomb. And it could burn the house down, and then they'll go to the neighbor's house, and then they'll kill the 3-year-old that's asleep, and then you're reliable. And I'm thinking, dude, what are you doing? Like that's such a far-fetched premise, right? Like, these things are safe. In my opinion, the chemistry doesn't matter, right? LFP is safer than NMC, yes, when you do a puncture test, but safer, safer doesn't mean the other one is unsafe. There's a difference without a distinction, right? The code doesn't care. The code doesn't care what kind of chemistry it is. It makes no exception for that. Yeah? And the public doesn't care. There's a lot of things that we have in our house that introduce risk, right? This is one of them. If safety is your ultimate goal, right, then there's only one logical course for you and your mindset. And it's not where this thing is. Because if you're really concerned about safety and proximity and saving lives, if we could just save one life, then it's worth it. Okay, then if you really care about saving lives, then these will not be anywhere near a home. Yeah? It'll be in the backyard, surrounded by a fence with fire suppression systems and the yard sprinklers pointing right at it while it's sitting on a catapult ready to launch it into the nearest lake. If saving lives is really your issue, then that's what would have to happen. Okay? It doesn't matter where this thing would be on or in the house. Okay? But that's not reasonable, right? There comes a crossover where we have to look at risk management and code and all this other stuff. Even firemen, even all these entities will take the assumption that these things have a really low risk of catching on fire. That's not what they're worried about, okay? They're concerned about the rest of the house catching on fire and then getting to this thing, right? So what do? The firefighter comes, they look on the main, they look if there's anything else they got to do, if there's solar, and they got a little map right there of, oh, okay, there's an ESS in here. Oh, and it's got a rapid shutdown system, and it's got all this other stuff. And okay, so we need to put a hose right there where that ESS is. Never mind the fact that these things, the chemicals in these batteries, when they're burning, may not react very well to water, but we'll forget about that for now. Okay? So you have to have a placard outside on the main or somewhere close that shows where the ESS is. Yeah? So if these things are taken out of livable spaces because we want them outside, somewhere easily accessible for the first responders to be able to shoot water on them, then why not just take this diagram and move this ESS from here to here? Bingo, now they know where in the house, where this thing is, and they can divert resources over there to make sure that it doesn't catch on fire. Like, to me, that seems sounds reasonable to me. And I just, I want to go on the premise with this that I wouldn't have one of these things in my house either. But it's not because I'm scared of them, it's because I don't have any room in there. And it just doesn't go with anything, right? But if I had a mudroom or a basement or a mechanical room, then that's probably where I would put it, in a nice conditioned place. But in a livable space, you just eliminated all of that. Why? Because you're either scared of these things or you need an easily accessible place, which I can appreciate for firefighters. I do. But we need to be looking at these code articles in a way that makes sense, right? And we need to be able to get it right the first time, not like this stupid rapid shutdown thing that was forced up our cloacas without any regard to really how it was going to be implemented. And it's evolved over the years, and people, it drives me nuts with that. And I go into detail on that in my book, just a little shameless promo here. I go into a lot of detail on rapid shutdown and just how much of a dumb idea it is. We don't want storage to fall in the same predicament that the solar did. Yeah? Solar inverters don't cause fires. Okay? They don't. The modules do. But for some reason, the onus of fire safety fell on the inverters. And I don't want the same thing to happen to this. There's an inspector. This guy wants these to be raised 18 inches off the ground, regardless of who it is. Tesla, LG Chem. I heard people install this. Yeah, he wants it 18 inches off the ground for that. Which, okay, that's not a big deal for those guys. Just, okay, lift it up. But it is for this one, because this rests on the ground. Just like a Generac power cell, an electric power pod, I think that rests on the ground too. I asked him, like, what's your rationale for that? Well, hot water heaters need to be raised up because if something happens, then you won't catch anything on fire. There won't be, any combustible stuff. I'm like, well, okay, but there's nothing in these things that's gonna like cause a combustion like a water heater. And I gave this guy a document from our chief technical officer that stated as such. And he goes, yeah, but has it been tested against that? I'm like, has it been tested to the same standard a water heater has? No, it's not a freaking appliance. Like, I don't understand that. But that's what happens when you don't have clear articles that make sense in the code. I mean, the code's been around for over 100 years. We still can't get grounding right. We have to have guys like Ryan Mayfield go around and tell people what the grounding really means, because the code is written by lawyers, not for regular people to understand. And I don't want that to happen with this. So you fall into, yeah, we want it raised up 18 inches to, oh, I want a bollard in front of the ESS because we don't want anybody to hit it. It's like, okay, well, mine is on the port side of my house, and if I come in this way, I'm not going to hit it. Just like the overwhelming majority of these things in garages. But nope, we want a bollard there. Awesome. Good for you. You're the one guy in the 3,500 AHJs in the United States that figured it out. If you're really concerned about safety, then these suppression systems are ultimately what we need to go for. Yeah, but that adds cost and complexity. Okay, so there is a divergence where extra costs and property and equipment, like where is that? Where's the line for that? Yeah. So, okay, well, Mr. Tough Guy. So what's your? You give all these things you're pooping on. So what's your solution? I already gave it to you. You have a plaque outside that shows where the ESS is. This seems reasonable to me. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I want to hear it. All right, so that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Take care.